Hey there, it's Max. So for this speed paint, I really wanted to tackle water. I, looking around on Instagram and whatnot, saw some artists do some really fantastic rendering of water, and looking at my one of my past speed paints here, the one with the bather on the cliffs, I really wasn't happy with the water in that, so I decided I needed to do a piece that was much more focused on just the water. So I decided, hey, you know what? Let's do like a nice little koi pond. So right off the bat, I am just blocking in big shapes of where I want things to be, getting in some textures and forms for sort of like the rocky bottom of this pond. It doesn't really make it all the way to the end. Really, this is me experimenting with a lot of stuff, trying to build up layers of transparencies for the water, and then working it back to cut in these shapes. Um, it was very interesting. I took a similar approach to it as rendering clouds, which met with less than satisfactory results. One of the things that I've noticed about water is that there's just like so much noise. It's a lot of repeated shapes, a lot of um, like even when water is still, there's still going to be like some minor ripples, and this is a more still pond. So I wanted that glassiness, the reflectivity, the texture on top of the ripples, the reflections of the plants on the water, the material at the bottom of the pond. There's just so much going on. Um, I get to a point here where I'm like, at the bottom, it's good enough. Let's just add in some plants. Getting in some lily pads, some reeds. And this was a nice opportunity to practice just, um, playing with shapes. They're all ovals, more or less. Dropping in fish, a lot of repeated shapes in this. So it's real balance of, similarity and difference. I got two different colors of fish going on, red and yellow, and making sure that how I place them works compositionally. I don't want any of them to fight or to be confusing. I want them all to be distinct forms. And so I erase them out, I move them around, using a little texture brush there to get a better edge on their reflection, but it goes away. Start fixing up the fish. I did not want to spend the entire time rendering each individual fish. They're under the water. When something's in the water, the light reflects, refracts, refraction. Oh boy. The light refracts, so you end up with some weird silhouettes, and I emphasize that more later on. So we don't need too much detail in the fish, they just need to be nice, appealing shapes. Get a little bit of foreground grass there. The foreground was looking really empty. And then I start playing with the foliage. It all felt so very similar, the same hues, the same tones. So I am trying to put in some more difference here. One thing that I learned while working on this is I gotta fix my hotkeys because my color picker, I can assign that to my stylus. I just need to figure out how. There's a little button on my stylus. It would be a lot better if that were just the color picker rather than having to use a keystroke. Just efficiency in that stuff. Okay, so what am I doing here? Listen, guys, I came back from a trip. I was then super busy at work, like crazy 60-hour work week. Didn't have time to do any art, so I stopped the koi pond. I came back, and I thought, this isn't really going well. Let's just start over. start from scratch, and just do it all on one layer. And then I decide, you know what, actually, that's too much work. I already put in so much. And I finally, like, found my groove at this point. I think what I did there, where I just started over and came to the composition with fresh eyes, really helped, like, a lot. So maybe that's something that I'll do in the future is, you know, if you feel stuck, start over, but don't feel like you have to commit to that second attempt. So in that second attempt, I was working more with just like one layer, and then I had not been using different types of layers, so I used an overlay to get sort of a sheen on the water, and then some soft brushes to get just more variety in a lot of stuff. So then I could use a color picker, go back to flattening it to one layer, and work back in. I think that type of process really helped a lot, and just the shapes of the water here start coming together so much nicer. This feels very glassy right now. I add more texture later, just because that's one of the things that I wanted to practice. I had actually taken a break. I went to the gym. I sat in the hot tub, took a dip in the pool. It was very, very nice. I really needed it. But I was just staring at all of these little ripples on the water, and I knew that I wanted to replicate that. It just looks really cool. Looks really cool when you've got a really clean swimming pool, and you can see all the way to the bottom, and the cast light and the reflections, the refracted light. It's really cool. And as you can see, I start distorting the fish a little bit. There are just little smudges swimming around in there. So for these ripples, I noticed there's, you know, a highlight on the outside, and then it's darker on the inside because the water is not flat. It has peaks and troughs even when there's not a ton going on. So thinking of it more almost like the surface of a golf ball, where it's all of these divots, these pockets. I think that was a pretty cool effect to try out. And then I'm putting in reflections from the grass, using one of my blending tools to just smudge it around. And then I'm just working that through the whole thing. Now, earlier I said we didn't really keep the material at the bottom of the pond, but I think one way to sort of get around that is to just use different hues in the water. So some parts are quite blue, other parts are rather green, some parts are red or purple even. So I wanted a lot of hue variety in the water, and I think that helped a lot. It gives you more of an idea that there's different materials at the bottom because, of course, the sky is blue and water is blue due to refraction of light and all that. And then some more overlays at the end, and we're done. So thank you all so very much for watching. I hope that you like it. If you do, leave me a comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what I should paint next. Thanks. Bye.